Move back to the Middle East. And Vanessa, let's look at the aid convoy incident, if we can call it an incident.
Yeah, sort of an interesting incident. This is a report in Mayadeen from yesterday. So this happened at pretty much the same time as Israel carried out the attack on the Iranian embassy in Damascus. The headline here, Israel claims that the World Central Kitchen, the WCK workers, killed in error after bombing them 3 times. And if we look at the kind of satellite imagery that Al Mayadeen has included in their article, you can see that actually it was 3 fairly, one assumes, precision strikes on the coastal area targeting the various cars of these aid workers inside Gaza. Now, in the Mayadeen article, they point out the reaction from the UK Foreign Ministry, which summoned the Israeli ambassador. However, they didn't summon the Israeli ambassador to discuss the targeting of 100,000 plus Palestinians in Gaza, nor of the bombing of the embassy in Damascus. However, they summoned the ambassador to discuss this and to express the government's unequivocal condemnation of the crime. France and Canada condemned the attack. Australia also summoned the Israeli ambassador to Canberra over the crime. All of these nations, by the way, have been silent over the Israeli bombing in Damascus. The US, meanwhile, just stuck with offering its condolences. And let's have a quick look at the statement by John Kirby.
Your question presumes, at this very early hour, that it was a deliberate strike, that they knew exactly what they were hitting, that they were hitting aid workers and did it on purpose, and there's no evidence of that. I would also remind you, sir, that we continue to look at incidents as they occur. The State Department has a process in place. And to date, as you and I are speaking, they have not found any incidents where the Israelis have violated international humanitarian law. And lest you think we don't take it seriously, I can assure you that we do. We look at this in real time.
They have never violated international humanitarian law ever in the past 5 to 6 months.
I'm telling you, the State Department has looked at incidents in the past and has yet to determine that any of those incidents violate international humanitarian law.
I mean, just I don't really know what to say at that, but the US denial of the atrocities committed by Israel is becoming quite obscene, actually. Now, what's interesting, let's have a look at these World Central Kitchen so-called aid workers. Now, the 3 British, I didn't manage to create a slide because I only found this out just before I came on. 3 of the British that were killed were former SAS, now working for a private security company called Solace Global. But at the same time, GrayZone did an investigation a little while back on the 27th of March into the chef that is basically the CEO of the organization. So let's have a look at what they say. People can obviously read the article for themselves. There's a lot of detail in it. So after years of accusing Russia of using food as a weapon in its conflict with Ukraine, State Department Culinary Ambassador Jose Andres is working with the Israeli government to supplant UNRWA as the main supplier of aid to northern Gaza. The operation appears designed as a stopgap measure to provide minimal quantities of food to Gaza's famine-stricken population until the US military finishes building a pier in the Mediterranean Sea, and a shadowy contractor run by former US Marines and CIO officials is able to implement an aid program called the Blue Beach Plan. So his organization, the World Central Kitchen, has already finished constructing its own jetty, which was made from rubble heaps in Gaza, a decision that virtually guaranteed the building materials contain the remains of humans killed by the Israeli bombing. So it has to raise questions over who these people really were. Were they killed? Were they killed by Israel? Now, one of the fallouts from this event is that the ships that are bringing aid from Cyprus to the US pier in Gaza are turning back. One has already turned back with 240 tons of undelivered aid. And then if we look at what the officials are actually saying, Cyprus Foreign Minister said on Tuesday that undelivered food and supplies were being returned after aid groups suspended operations due to the brutal killing of members of an international charity. Whose hands does this play into? Into Israel's, that is deliberately starving the 1.2 million Palestinians inside Gaza, shutting down UNRWA, closing all entrances into Gaza, set up the pier. Now suddenly that's falling apart because of the killing of the humanitarian aid workers. It seems very convenient for me.
Yes. Yes, I don't really know what else to say. And I mean, John Kirby, I have to admit to laughing, and
Yeah.
we shouldn't be laughing at this, because actually it's despicable. But it's so despicable, it's really hard not to react in that way.
It's like a parody. I mean, it's just extraordinary.
Yes. Thanks, Vanessa.